Hi everyone, I'm Vern.
Hi, I'm Beck.
We're from Rekindling Relationships and we want to talk about why it's so important to deal with your stuff. So tell us, Beck, what do you think?
Well, what's come up for me, I've noticed of late with my mentoring sessions with women, is that sometimes, I think two things actually. Sometimes we're a little bit scared to deal with our stuff. We think that somehow if we do, it might break us. We might end up in a worse place. So I think that's an important thing to be mindful of, that if you know you need to move some stuff and do some healing, but you're a little bit scared, then that's...
And people do avoid stuff which is actually going to be...
Of course, because it hurts, doesn't it, to bring up past pain that you have to deal with.
I love that we've just started recording and we've had a train and a bus go past, and it hardly ever happens.
We're on our front porch. I'll show you the view afterwards.
Yeah, it's really great. So go on, tell us more about why you think it's important.
Oh, and the other thing is, I think that if you find yourself being triggered by your past story, so if you tell your story and you're still feeling teary about it, or you are feeling a little twinge of anger or irritation or frustration, then you probably still have a bit more healing to do with that. Yeah.
And that's really important, because if you don't do the healing on it, if you just let it fester inside, then you don't actually move forward, you don't grow.
No, it's not healthy. It's like having a physical cut and not dealing with the pain. It's like it's the same with our emotional state. If we don't heal it, then it can fester in other ways, like unhealthy life patterns or even our health. So
yeah, it does definitely affect physical health too. So what do you think people can do to actually deal with the fact that they know, if you recognize that you've got something going on and it's holding you back, and you want to actually do something about it, what can you do about it?
Recognizing it is great. The step ahead there. There's many different ways of dealing with it. One way, I help people through it is through self-directed healing. So that's dealing with that past pain, and because at the time you may have felt you've dealt with it, but most of the time it's either been, shoved under the rug,
suppressed, like pushed down,
or we might have been young and not been allowed to deal with it. We just pretend nothing's wrong, like anything. It could be, any distraction.
And so all this past trauma, we haven't been able to deal with at the time, or haven't felt safe enough to do it or process it. So that's sort of sitting there still years later, and I know for me that there's still stuff that comes up, and I'm, oh, where'd that come from? It's like, okay, way back there. By realizing it, it's like, oh, I should do something about that.
Yeah, so what I do is I basically hold space so that these women are able to deal with it now and let it go. Because once you actually let your emotional state deal with that hurt and process it and deal with it properly, then your subconscious wants to let it go, and it will let it go, and you'll find yourself not being triggered by your story. I mean, I have a story and now I struggle. Sometimes Vern will say, hey, you should tell people your story. And I actually can't say my story with any emotion anymore. Which sounds like it had no impact on me. I almost feel like I say it like void of emotion, and then it has no meaning to it. So I actually find it hard to tell my story now, because I've done so much work on shifting it, the hurt that I went through, that I tell the story with very little emotion.
But this act of actually going back into that past moment sounds painful.
It is.
Sounds emotionally painful.
It is.
I think we should avoid it at all costs.
Distract yourself. Start drinking, taking drugs, doing all the unhealthy things. Yeah. No. It is, but it's for such a short period of time. It's amazing how quickly, if you let yourself process it, it'll shift. It can be 1 or 2 sessions. It's really, really quick, rather than years and years of it coming back. And
it sort of sits like an undercurrent under everything.
It does.
And rears its head all the time, and you're
triggered by all sorts of stuff, because your subconscious wants you to. It's keep poking you to deal with it. So deal with it. Don't be scared.
So it's actually about like the self-directed healing that you're talking about. It is about being able to recognize that there is something going on, and maybe being able to try and, if you don't go to a healing session or go to counseling or therapy or anything like that, is actually to be able to sit in that space and allow yourself to feel it and feel what it is.
Yeah.
And then in the feeling of it, maybe just also let it go. Just be
And
able
it's
to feel
okay. It's okay to feel not okay about it.
Mm.
You know, that's okay. It's okay to not be okay with your story. And if you let it process in the right way, and it'll shift, and then it won't affect you down the track.
Yeah, and then you're lighter. Like you feel lighter, and you feel more. I feel like the more I shift old stuff, the more present I am.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get so worried about things, and my head's not going so much chatter.
And I think once you shift this emotional stuff, I think that always comes first, and I think we have it somewhat around the wrong way, where we think we have physical elements that come up for us, and then we deal with those, but actually underlyingly there's always some emotional thing that's going on for us that we haven't dealt with, and that's why it's manifesting itself physically. So if you shift that, your health will improve. You'll automatically want to exercise more, eat healthier. It's just this roll-on effect.
Yeah.
But if you start with the physical and try and do all those things, chances are it won't work, because you've got this underlying emotional pain or healing that you have to still do.
I think it's important for people to realise they're probably not alone in this. If this is speaking to you, then it's speaking to probably lots of people, and it speaks to me because I think all of us hold some pain or trauma or something. And that's just the nature of being human. Like, we get
Everyone
hurt.
has a story.
Everyone's got a story. It's whether the story drives you, or whether you can, like, you know, you get to read from the story and, this has taught me this.
Or your story can be your motivation.
Yeah.
You know, you can, instead of it driving you, you drive your story.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.